Hello everyone, very good evening and welcome to Sri TV Primetime News. I'm Kalum Bandara. Let's look at the headlines first. European Union to appeal on the LTTE ban. UK issued travel advice against Sri Lanka. DMK and AIADMK join hands over fishermen issues. The Council of the European Union has decided to appeal the judgment of the General Court in connection with the classification of LTTE.
The statement also said that it was important to remember that the legal ruling clearly based on procedural grounds and it did not imply any assessment by the court of the substantive issues and decided in the LTTE. The Council has now decided to challenge some of the findings of the court regarding the procedural grounds to list terrorist organization under European Union. The Council has now decided to challenge some of the findings of the court regarding the procedural grounds to list terrorist organization under European Union autonomous measure on the combat terrorism as set out in common position. The European Union institutions are also studying other appropriate remedies in the action and may be taken to avoid possible invalidation of the future. The European Court had issued an order on 16th of October 2014 by saying the method of enlisting the LTTE as the terrorist organization is wrong. Against the decision, the European Commissioner is going to appeal future.
In a rare display of unanimity among Tamil parties, DMK and AIDMK on Monday praised the Centre of Secure release of 14 fishermen recently arrested by Sri Lanka, even as they thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for secure release of 5 others on death row, PTI report.
Raising the issue in Rajya Sabha during the 0 hours, Trichy Siva said that the timely intervention by the Modi government had helped in release of 5 fishermen on death row, but their 3 boats were not returned. Sri Lankan Navy had arrested 14 fishermen on November 23rd near Jaffna Peninsula on charge of the poaching in Lanka waters. On Friday, it's arrested 4 more. Siva said 24 fishermen are already languishing in Sri Lankan prison and as many as 78 fisher boats are in their captivity. The central government should take initiative for releasing both and the fishermen, he said, adding a permanent solution to the problem lies in the Indian reclaiming of ownership in the Kachati Island.
Visiting Indian National Security Advisor Dr. Ajit Doval says that if the Indian Ocean is contribute to the prosperity of the nation in the region and beyond, then it must remain the ocean of peace.
The Galle Dialogue 2014 International Maritime Conference, organised under the directive of the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development and the Sri Lanka Navy, commenced in the port city of Galle today with local and foreign participation from the maritime fraternity. The event saw the participation of more than 100 delegates from 36 countries, as well as senior officers of the Sri Lankan security forces and officials of the Ministry of Defence, including Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Navy Commander Vice Admiral Jayantha Perera. The theme for this year's event is Cooperation and Collaboration for Maritime Prosperity. The visiting National Security Advisor of India, Dr. Ajit Kumar Doval, was the chief guest at the event.
Really rarely in international affairs I've seen that an initiative which is taken is able to achieve such great heights and take such big strides as this Galle Dialogue. But if the Indian Ocean and the Indian Ocean region has got to really contribute to the prosperity of the neutral countries here, to the prosperity and the economic betterment of the countries much beyond the Indian Ocean region and the states, to the global trade, to the free link of everything, it is necessary that it remains the ocean of peace.
Jathika Helurume decided to cast its support towards opposition presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena.
විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමයේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අහෝසි කරන්න අපේ මතය හැටියට ජනමත විචාරණයක් ඕනේ. මොකද විධායක ජනාධිපති කෙලින්ම පත් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
JHU made its official statement yesterday. Speaking to media, Party General Secretary Champika Ranawaka went on to say, "We have decided to cast our fullest support towards common opposition presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena. We have accepted his National Policy General Secretary said."
එහෙම නැත්නම් විධායක ජනාධිපති තවදුරටත් පත්වීම විසින්
addressing the ceremony to mark the signing of the MOU between the parties of common opposition at the Vihara Mahadevi Park.
Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga issued a character certificate to common candidate Maithripala Sirisena, saying she could assure that he would be a good and fair leader. He is no thief or murderer. He has political vision and philosophy. He will be a fair leader, even every person after coming to power, the former president said. This is a battle, she said, not only to save the country but also to save the Sri Lankan Freedom Party. The former president also invited other seniors of the Sri Lankan Freedom Party to join hands with the common opposition in this struggle.
The British Foreign and Commonwealth Office has warned visitors to Sri Lanka to avoid any political gathering or rallies, adding that political rallies and election campaigns in Sri Lanka have occasionally turned violent. In an updated travel advice on Sri Lanka issued today as a result of the upcoming presidential election, British citizens visiting Sri Lanka have been told by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office to be vigilant. It notes earlier in 2014 via violent disturbances in Alutgama, the Veruvala, which resulted in 4 reported deaths and many injuries, as well as damages to buildings and local businesses. Both areas are near to tourist resorts on the coast. There have been isolated incidents and disturbances elsewhere around the country, primarily targeting evangelical Christians and Muslims. You should take care and avoid demonstrations, the FCO said the travel advice. Views are expressed in Parliament on Wednesday on the debate on the impending presidential election. Chief Opposition Whip MP John Amaratunga expressed these views.
Preparations are being made for the Pope's visit to Sri Lanka. The Catholic people are waiting with much anticipation to see the Pope. I make a request. I beg that the presidential election not be held in January and that is being pushed back to another date.
Prime Minister D.M. Jayaratne shared these views against Minister John Amaratunga.
We are now in a competitive situation. We will renew ourselves, hold the election, and the Pope will meet a new president, not the old president. And the first world leader that the new president will meet will be the Pope, one of the greatest leaders in the world.
Speaking at an event held on Wednesday, common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena expressed the following views.
The government is attempting to ingrain in the minds of the SLFP supporters the idea that I am trying to form a UNP government and that I will leave thereafter. For now, I can tell you that it will be a government comprising all political parties represented in Parliament. We invite all political parties represented in Parliament to join with us. On the other hand, we can call this a national government. The tenure of this government will be 100 days. The primary function in these 100 days will be the removal of the executive powers of the presidency. Thereafter, we hope to give the people the opportunity to elect a government of their liking. But as the common candidate, as a man who will be competing against a person like Mahinda Rajapaksa, it is clear to the the people, and I wish to say to them that my safety is in the people's hands. The problem faced by the UNP supporters is that you do not have a government of your own. The problem faced by the SLFP supporters is that they have formed a government and the SLFP is not in it. They are attempting to sweep aside all political parties and that embark on a dictatorial journey with a system where there are no political parties. I do not think that any political party in this country should allow that to happen.
Party that reaped the most benefits from Maithripala Sirisena's victory.
Speaking at event in Anuradhapura, the President Rajapaksa expressed the following views.
We are not vengeful people. We do not wish to exact vengeance from anyone. Chandrika had reduced the SLFP to 57 seats when she handed it over to me. I raised that number to 127 and now I have come before you. Today we have 160 seats in Parliament. Several people must leave and my door is the same today. I said in the past that it was like a saloon door and that people could come and go. So these people come and go. This is not something that happened to me alone. What did C.P. De Silva do back then? Even that was in Minneria. It was in the Polonnaruwa district in 1964.
ඒත් පොළොන්නරුව දිස්ත්‍රික්කේ 64. ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි. එකපාරක් මැතිනියට කොකා පෙන්නුවා. යන ගමන්
While he was going, one of the people from our side, Charlie Ediri Surya, had milk rice with madam and then went over. In my case, he had hoppers with me and then went.
කාලා ඇවිල්ලා. කිරිබත් කාලා ඇවිල්ලා. මගේ නම් ආප්ප කාලා ගිහිල්ලා. චන්ද්‍රිකා මොකද කරේ?
What did Chandrika do? Even she left madam. She went and formed her own party.
පක්ෂයක් ඇදුවා චන්ද්‍රික. බෞද්ධ ජන නිදහස් පෙරමුණ. මාර පෙරමුණ. පක්ෂේ දාලා මේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ.
Mahinda Rajapaksa did not leave the party. It is wrong for those who are in glass houses to throw stones. People have always come and gone. Those who went have never fared well, but those who have come had definitely fared better. But I will say one thing clearly. I have files on all the actions of those who left, but I will not use them. I am not a person who would use them.
පොත ගැන හොඳට මගේ ගාව ෆයිල් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මම ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒවා පාවිච්චි කරන්න මිනිහෙක් නෙවෙයි මම.
Election monitoring bodies People's Action for Free and Fair Election are considering taking legal action against the police and local government institutions for not taking steps to remove election propaganda materials. Executive Director of PAFORAL Rohan Hettiarachchi said that the police, which had separate environmental police units, were not acting in accordance with the National Environmental Acts, and the Pradeshiya Sabhas, urban councils and municipal councils were themselves violating the Act's government local governing authorities by putting up propaganda materials. The police are not removing these from the walls and lamp spots, and the main candidates are yet to hand in their nominations. These can also be seen on the rear of buses and private vehicles which pass police officers manning the roads every day, yet the police take no actions. Ananda College First 11 cricket for the season 2014-2015 will be sponsored and supported by Love Holdings plc.
It was announced at the press conference held on the 2nd of December 2014. Mr. Salya Senanayake, President Ananda College Cricket Wings, thanked the sponsor and said that he will help Ananda Cricket to continue with the outstanding contribution toward the Sri Lankan cricket and contribution of the nature of the required and sustain the improved cricket at the school levels. The Deputy Principal of Ananda College, Mr. Velage, thanked Mr. Tilak De Silva, Group Managing Director, Love Holding PLC, of the contribution and all boys towards Ananda and Ananda cricket. Tilak De Silva said that he is delighted to contribute and be associated once again with Ananda College and urged all boys to partner their alma mater in their endeavours of the improved and developed cricket from the grassroots levels at Ananda College.
Another phase of the Kala Survey program initiated according to a concept of Member of Parliament Arduminda Silva for a benefit of artists rendered helpless was implemented last Saturday. Police media spokesman SSP Ajit Rohana said investigators are scrutinizing fingerprints of 74 persons in connection with the breaking of door lockers of the clay artifacts room of the Colombo National Museum. A wild elephant entered the scared city of Anuradhapura this morning and trampled to death 2 persons in the neighborhood of the scared boar tree. Cooperative and Internal Trade Minister has decided to buy local big onions at a 19 rupees certified price. Minister in charge of the subject, Johnston Fernando, said that the purchase of big onions in CWE lorries will begin from Dambulla from 12 noon yesterday. Iran has conducted airstrikes against Islamic State targets in eastern Iraq during recent days, a Pentagon spokesman says.
Rear Admiral John Kirby said the U.S., which has conducted its own airstrikes in Iraq, was not coordinating with Iran. A senior Iranian military official also dismissed talk of cooperation between the two countries. A US-led coalition has launched hundreds of airstrikes against IS since August. The US has said it would be inappropriate for Iran to join that coalition, even though the two longtime adversaries face a common enemy in IS. Since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, the US and Iran have had a fraught relationship. Washington severed ties the following year after Iranian students occupied the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 52 Americans hostage.
A poisonous gas leak from the Union Carbide Corporation plant in the central Indian city of Bhopal 13 years ago killed several thousand people and injured more than 500,000.
30 years later, many still bear the scars. They include children with birth and congenital defects and others whose lives have been blighted by chronic illness. Aziz Afro travels to Bhopal to meet children born to parents who were exposed to the gas on December 3, 1984 or who were born in the aftermath of the leak. AC Masarai, 15, was born with acute deformities of his facial bones and suffers from chronic weakness, fatigue and frequent nosebleeds. Mother Haifar B has been taking him to hospitals and clinics ever since he was born. He has dropped out of school and works in a furniture factory to help his family financially. He knows little about the gas leak that affected his parents when they were in their youth. Swati Mishra, 17, was born with partial paralysis of the left side of her body. She suffers from acute weakness and has been visiting hospitals and doctors all her life. Her father was a young boy at the time of the leak, but she knows little about the accident. Swati is studying computer administration at a local college and her aim is to find work either at a bank or the railways so she can support her father who has very little income.
Founders of Hong Kong's Occupy Central movement are preparing to turn themselves into the police as the students' group say they will continue protests.
The government that uses police batons to maintain its authority is a government that is beyond reason. For the sake of the occupiers' safety, for the sake of our original intention of love and peace, as we prepare to surrender, we free urge the students to retreat.
We've been through a lot and I don't think we should now pack up the things and leave now.
Australia captain Michael Clarke broke down in tears as he paid tribute to friend and former teammate Philip Hughes at the batsman's funeral.
Mourners, led by Australian cricket captain Michael Clarke, are converging on the small rural town of Maxville ahead of Wednesday's funeral service for Philip Hughes, as the Test batsman's birthplace becomes the epicentre of a nation's grief. Australian PM Tony Abbott pays tribute to Phil Hughes in Parliament. Clarke will act as a pallbearer at the funeral, which will be attended by past and present cricketers from throughout the world, by politicians and other dignitaries, and which will be televised live throughout Australia. Players still not ready for rescheduled tests. Cricket Australia. Hughes' former Australian Test teammates will be present to pay their last respects and to further express the grief that has racked the team since the 25-year-old batsman died Thursday, 2 days after being hit in the head by a short-pitched bouncer delivery during a domestic match at the SCG.
That's all for the news today. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.